we have something special for you tonight. Just one of many, many things, I think. This is Mike Todd. Take it away, Mike. Oh, why don't I do that? It's on.
Undone in sorrow, I will remain. Undone in sorrow, I will remain. So hi folks out there, my name is Mike Todd. To my left of me, I have my partner in crime through thick and thin, Miss Opal Retzer.
Hello.
She's playing an instrument called the harmonium. If you can hear it in the background or underneath it there, it's a bellowed instrument, so kind of a sit-down accordion. You pump it and there's keys, and me, Mike, I'm on guitar and singing. We play a style or a genre of music that's called old-time music. Generally, it's considered to be recorded in the 1920s and the 1930s, but a lot of the songs kind of are older than that, and we're going to play some really old ones here tonight, and we kind of I research them, dig into them, some obscure kind of stuff, and but then present them to you now, rearrange them a little bit, and give them over to modern audiences. So that first song was called Undone In Sorrow. It was written by one of the preeminent old-time players of the 20th century. He's a banjo player from Pennsylvania. Olabelle Reed is her name. And we're going to move on now to a song that the lyrics that we sing stretch back to the Civil War, but they go even farther back than that, to Scotland and these things called broadside ballads, where in the 1800s, 1700s, you'd get these lyric sheets printed off, and people like working with horses or dairy cows or milkmaids, or they'd pick up these lyrics and kind of staple them to the barns or where they were working to learn the songs. So it's kind of an exchange between two lovers, and it's a beautiful old one. It's called The Blackest Crow, and I'm just going to take a quick sip from my lemon honey water right now. All right, here's The Blackest Crow for you. As time draws near, my dearest dear, you and I, we must part. How little you know about the pain and woe, my poor aching heart. 'Tis but I suffer for your sake. Believe me, dear, it's true. Oh, I wish that you were staying here, or I was going with I wish my breast were made of glass, wherein you might be home. That upon my heart your name lies wrote, letters made of gold, in letters made of gold, my love. Believe me when I say, oh, you are the one that I'll adore until my dying for the blackest crow that ever flew would surely turn to white if ever I prove false to you. Bright day would turn to night. Bright day would turn to night, my love. The elements they moan. Oh, if ever I prove false to you,
I'm sure you can't hear it, but I doubt. I bet people are out there applauding to that because that is just such a wonderful tune.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that really. I guess I have two questions in a way. One kind of facetious and one a little bit more serious. I understand that you think about old time music quite a bit. It's like almost an obsession to you. I guess the first question, the facetious one, is that healthy?
You should ask my partner.
Yeah. I mean, what with all those old ballads and so on, they get really dark and so on.
Yeah. There's a lot of dark ones, a lot of light ones, like I always say, like this music, it just, it's the richest, I feel, in terms of musical genres, right? Like you can have these like really kind of fascinating, interesting portraits of characters and individuals and, really accurate descriptions, in-depth descriptions of landscape or region. And they also touch on like the gamut of human emotions so well, like love and but loss and tragedy but jubilation and joy, and it's kind of like all over the place. And I love diving into the deep end of it. It's like a big pool, and I love swimming in the deep end.
Yeah, so maybe that answers the other part of the question, at least in part, or to some extent. What got you into this kind of music?
Yeah, I mean, so for me personally, and I think a number of people out there too, but when I was a young kid, I heard this like gravelly, rocky, rough voice on a record when I was like 5 in my dad's record collection, and just this like rough kind of sounding kind of guy, and he was singing folk songs, like old traditional ballads, and it was Bob Dylan. And I got really deep into Bob Dylan, in my kind of 5 to 20 years old phase, I guess. And, just learning about him and, where he found the songs from. And that's another kind of thing that I love about this genre is I think in a previous life, I'd be a really good private detective, or if I were to quit tomorrow and start a new job, I might work as a private detective, like an investigator, because a big part of the genre that we love so much, me and you, Bruce, is that you trace it back, you investigate it back. Like, who did Bob learn from? Well, Ramblin' Jack Elliott. And who did he learn from? Woody Guthrie. And Woody Guthrie was hanging out with Leadbelly. And it just kind of goes back and back and back. And but where I really, really got into it is right here where we are today. Like in my early 20s when I started volunteering, I got a radio show here at CJSW on a weekly basis. And those bins of CDs that are right behind you and the vinyl, I would spend my waking free hours in that library just devouring the folk kind of collection. And I've been through, I think, most of the CDs that are in that folk bin, the light blue bin. Well, and from there, just kind of grew and grew and grew.
I'm going to say you're doing better than myself, and I haven't been able to get to a tenth of it. But there's still so much there to explore. You mentioned Ramblin' Jack Elliott, and I know you had I don't want to say a run-in because that has negative connotations. Maybe tell us a bit about Ramblin' Jack and perhaps.
So 10 years ago, because it was 2013, it was the 100th anniversary of Woody Guthrie's birth. So Woody Guthrie was born in 1913. And for those of you who don't know Woody Guthrie, he was kind of this guitar slinging, train hopping folk singer, and he'd take old songs, old melodies, and transpose his own lyrics and own poetry that he wrote over top of them. And he's a big influence on, people like Bob Dylan. But anyways, 2013, there was a lot of 100th anniversary festivals that were springing up for Woody. And I was down in California, and Jack was headlining, Ramblin' Jack Elliott was headlining this festival. And I watched him. I sat on a hay bale. There was hay bales for the audience. And then after the show was done, I stumbled over there's a hotel and a bar across the street, this tiny little kind of like 5-room hotel. And I had a bowl of soup because that's the only thing I could afford. And about 20 minutes later, in walks Jack and couple cowboys and a couple ladies that were his, I think, daughters. and they closed down the restaurant, but I was already in there, so they couldn't. I just kind of finished my soup, and I was gonna kind of go over and just tell him, "Hey, thanks. Like, you've meant a lot to me." And he's like, come sit at the table. And I sat right next to him, and it was his birthday. They had a birthday cake. I sang happy birthday to Ramblin' Jack Elliott. And it's just like sitting next to a piece of living history, you know, like a book that's talking to you. And he told me stories about Woody and Pete Seeger, and he himself rode the rails, and sort of what the rodeo circuit was like in the 1940s when he ran away as a kid. And yeah, I really love Jack, and Jack taught Bob Dylan quite a bit of stuff in Greenwich Village in the early 60s.
Yeah, lots of people hanging out there. I know Phil Oakes was another wonderful songwriter. So
a really good book about that, by the way, Bruce, of like the Greenwich Village scene in the early 60s is called A Freewheeling Time. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or read it, but it's written by Suze Rodolo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, but that was Bob's girlfriend in the early 60s. And she paints a very accurate and in-depth description of what the folk scene was like in the early 60s, which is quite revered in our circles, right? Like that was kind of a special time where, you know, a lot of things, there's this perfect storm that came together in Greenwich Village in the early 60s. Like people like Bob and Ramblin' Jack Elliott and Phil Oakes and Dave Van Ronk and Buffy St. Marie. And they all kind of were congregating in one place at the same time at around the same ages and doing some really groundbreaking things.
Yeah. I remember hearing, a few stories about Susie, and one that, I don't know if he dined out on it a lot, but I heard Ian Tyson once say that, he introduced Bob to Susie and drugs.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was like, I guess we have Ian Tyson to thank for a lot of things.
Yeah, he loved that story because I worked on his ranch for a summer, and he told that to me, but he told that many times publicly, and it's in that book that I just referenced, is that Ian turned Bob onto weed, and then Bob turned the Beatles onto weed. So really we have Ian Tyson to thank for all that crazy, wild stuff that came out of the Beatles, like late 60s drug kind of era.
Yeah, and here I thought it was just that they were trying to compete with the Beach Boys, but oh well.
Yeah.
So anyway, you have a new album out, which is kind of why you're here, and maybe you want to talk a little bit about it, and some of the songs you're playing on, or that are on it, and
sure, yeah,
who you're, what you're trying to do with it, I suppose.
Thanks. Yeah, so it's called just the Mike Todd LP, self-titled, and it's been, I'd say, 10 years in the making. There's 10 songs on it, and I tried to put 10 years of playing and researching and traveling and experiences and knowledge into 10 songs on this album. Over the course of the last decade, I've recorded on like tape players before, or, I've had radio shows or a podcast, but I've never properly been into a studio in this way. Yeah, and the 10 songs are primarily old-time songs. So what we're talking about tonight, like the genre that's generally thought to be at the start of the dawn of the recording industry of the 1920s and 30s. So lots of songs from that kind of era, but a few others mixed in there as well. And it's my attempt to, I guess, show or give or share with people what happens in my mind when I listen to old-time music, which is, other people might listen to a song recorded in the 20s or 30s and, hear this like scratchy old kind of thing and on an out-of-tune instrument or a weird voice and 2 minutes long, and they'll kind of take it for what that is, like at the top of the barrel. But when I listen to this music and these recordings from the 20s and 30s, like things it's like fireworks in my mind. And it's like movies are playing while I'm listening to these songs. And so we tried to kind of make a big sound out of these old songs and add new ideas to an old musical conversation. And lots of big arrangements, kind of depth, I guess, or breadth. And I just want to share with people, because this genre, this music If it was a meal, it'd be steak and potatoes. Like, it fills me up. I love it so much. And it's meant so much to me in my life. It's really helped me personally quite a bit. And I just want to share that with other people.
Right. Well, I hate to cut you off. I mean, we could go on and on about this, but I have other things coming up shortly, so I'm
Great.
going to let you play a couple more songs. But before we do that, you want to tell us when your album release party is happening?
Yeah, so we have it this Saturday evening, April 15th. It's presented by the Calgary Folk Festival at their venue in Inglewood, which is called Festival Hall. And it'll be myself, Opal, but we have 4 other members in our band. We're a big band. We have 6 people total. So you'll be able to see the full meal deal on Saturday night. And we have the Thunder Chief drummers who are going to be opening for us starting at 8. And tickets can be purchased through the Calgary Folk Festival website.
Okay. And before you play us out, I understand we have a pair of tickets to give away to... to somebody who texts the booth at 403-220-3991. So send me a text message if you want to go see Mike Todd on Saturday night. All right, Mike, let's take it away. Well, whenever you're ready.
Fantastic. I'm gonna have Opal start this one off. And we lived in a trailer, 27-foot trailer on a sheep farm for a long time.
Felt like an eternity.
We
but it
went
was
there
like a year and a half.
Yeah, at the start of the pandemic, and be out there with the sheep and the border collies and learning that whole thing. But
there was cool parts too. It was awesome.
Including we'd sing to each other quite a bit, and this is one of the songs that we love, and it comes from a pretty obscure recording in 1933 that a duo called Harold and Hazel, and not much is known about them or who they were or where they come from, but they recorded this song in Chicago in 1933, and we're going to sing it for you right now, and Opal's going to kick it off. It's a song called Wait for Me.
Wait for me at the end of the long, long day. When the night comes in view, I'm gonna hurry to you. In your arms, all my troubles will fade away. At the end of a long, long day.
Wait for me at the end of the long, long day. When the night comes in view, I'm gonna hurry to you. In your arms, all my troubles will fade away. At the end of a long, long day. Sweetheart, when twilight's at a fall, my heart longs for you, dear. Wait for me at the end of the long, long day. When the night comes in view, I'm gonna hurry to you. In your arms, all my troubles will fade away. At the end of a long, long day. Sweetheart, when twilight's at a fall, my heart longs for me a C there. Or pardon me, a D.
A D.
All right, this will be our last song, and it's the first song on our album, and released a video with this kind of with a cranky theater. If you want to look up, Google that, cranky theater. And it's what's known as a border ballad, and the border that they're referencing is southern Scotland, northern England. Same as with border collies. We were talking about sheep and being on a sheep farm. Border collie comes from the same region. Border ballads and border collies. Southern Scotland, northern England. This is a song called The Coo Coo. It's hundreds of years old. Don't know the author. Melody is the same. And it's for you here tonight. Once again, my name is Mike Todd. Opal Retzer beside me. And I hope to see some folks out on Saturday night, April 15th. At Festival Hall in Calgary. Oh, the cuckoo, ain't she a fine bird? Don't she warble as she flies? But she never hollers cuckoo till the 4th day of July. Oh, the cuckoo, ain't she a fine bird? And don't I wish she were mine? But she never drinks water, only drinks wine. Don't you kill him, little cuckoo. You go down south in the fall, going to old Miami, where the snow never falls. For the cuckoo, ain't she a fine bird? And don't I wish she were mine? But she never drinks water, only drinks wine. Cabin on the mountain up so high, so I can see my Mary as she goes right on by. Horses, they ain't hungry, and they won't eat any of your hay. Gonna go on a little further, and I'll see you on the way. Hey! Well, I gambled down in England, and I played cards out in Spain, and I bet you $10 that I'll beat you the next game. Jack of diamonds, Jack of diamonds, Lord, I've known you of old. Well, you're out my pockets of my silver. fine bird. Don't she warble as she flies? But she never hollers cuckoo till the 4th day of July.
All right, well, live in CJSW studios, that was Mike Todd and the Coo Coo. Thank you, Mike, for coming in and playing for us tonight. And yeah, you can check Mike out at Festival Hall on Saturday night, along with the Thunder Chief Drummers. It's going to be a great show.